it was great. And then this weekend we had the book launch party. I hosted a huge party at my house,
did?
the Artisan House.
Oh.
Huge, 50 people. I'd say 50 people throughout the night.
What do you do at a book launch party?
I don't know. You kind of, I didn't know. I'd never been to one before, so I sort of made it up. I went out and I got way too many flowers at Trader Joe's, kind of like this, because I wanted it to feel like you were in a garden, a creative space, and tons of candles and lights, and kept it super funky. And everybody brought guitars and drums, and we just had a massive jam
My gosh, it
session.
sounds like Woodstock.
It was. That's what I told everybody. We were doing Catholic Bohemia, and it was really fun.
Well, I have to congratulate you, first and foremost, because my first impression of the book when I looked at it was, I said, wow, that's beautiful. It's a beautiful cover. How did you come up with that?
Thank you so much. I mean, that is all due to the incredible creative team at Ave Maria Press. It's my publisher out of Notre Dame. They're amazing, and they collaborated with me, and I was a little bit picky, but they really helped get me the perfect title, perfect cover. They were so wonderful to work with. So
I suppose you got to look at it a lot, so
exactly.
You might
it
as well
needs to
like
be
it.
something you're in love with. Yes.
Yeah, and there's a lot of C's. Courage to create. Clare McCallan.
Yeah.
Cripes almighty. What made you even think of writing this book, Courage to Create?
Yeah, so this is actually my third book because I had self-published my first two books, Stations and Mangers. Stations is the reason I'm here right now, because our dear friend Bonnie Rogers had seen that I had self-published it online, and she booked me as a Zoom guest during COVID, and that's how we all became connected. I'd wanted to work with a publisher. That's kind of a external marker of like, okay, I'm progressing, right? If somebody gives you that validation,
absolutely.
And there's just a level of distribution, and I have access to their editors now, so somebody can be helping me become a little bit better. So I wanted to work with an incredible publisher like Ave, and we sat down and they said, what do you want to write a book about? We tossed around a couple ideas, and it became very obvious very quickly that the Artisan House was the story I had to tell. So this book really tells the story of how we created the Artisan House. We just celebrated 3 years of housing young Catholic artists from around the country, but also talks a lot about my early journey living in New York City on the spoken word scene, working with other artists, learning how to navigate being a starving artist in New York City, and sort of giving a roadmap to other young people of faith so they don't fall into some of the same pitfalls that I did.
Now in the book you make a distinction between what the world sees or calls an artist and how God envisions or sees or creates an artist. Can you just unpack that distinction?
Yeah, absolutely. This is so funny because some of my roommates were reading this and they were asking me questions yesterday, and we were talking about how so much of the world's definition of art and artist is just pure self-expression, and what we're looking for in art as Catholics is truth, beauty, and goodness. Does it meet those markers of the transcendentals? And it doesn't have to be professional. You don't need to get paid for your art in order for it to be legitimate, but it does need to be true, it does need to be beautiful, and it does need to be good.
I was mentioning to you earlier today that my kitchen featured right here on Catholic TV on our incredible series on palliative care. But my kitchen, I look upon my kitchen as a work of art because I had to do it on the cheap, but I found a way to do it. And when I look at it, I just find it to be very satisfying and beautiful. So, you know, I appreciate, I'm not an artist, but you are, and I appreciate the artistic endeavor. Who are some of the other artists who are kind of brought up in the book?
Yeah, so I feature a lot of the same artists that we featured on my show here on Catholic TV, the Renaissance Room.
The Renaissance Room.
Yeah, so Enna's in there, Molly's in there, Adam's in there. A lot of the artists that have lived at St. Joseph's Home for Artisans are in there, and we get to ask them questions about their journey, because if we were to just use my journey, that would be a little bit too narrow. I want to expand the definition, so all sorts of creatives. And that is, Bishop, I do have to challenge you a little bit. You said you're not an artist, but a big part of what I talk about in this book is if you were created in the image of the Creator, then you must have those qualities too.
Interesting.
And JP2,
I never thought of it that way.
I've used JP2 heavily in this, whether it's his letter to the artists or the theology of the body. He says that if you're made in the image of the Creator, you're a craftsman, because we can't create something from nothing. God can. We can just create from the tools he gave us. So we're craftsmen in his image, and you look the most like your dad when you act like him. And if there's one thing he does, it's create. So even you just creating a space that is seriously true, beautiful, and good in your kitchen is you acting like Dad and being a creative like him.
Well, then, I guess I am an artiste.
I guess so.
When did you first realize that you had within you the courage to create?
When I was in Calcutta with the Missionaries of Charity, got super sick and I was bedridden for a couple weeks, and I started watching videos online of people doing spoken word poetry in New York. And I said, God, if I ever make it out of this bed, which, like, I was never gonna die, total drama queen, but I was like, if I ever make it out of this bed, I'm gonna move to New York City and I'm gonna pursue this. And that's what I did. And that's how it happened.
And how old were you at that time when you were sick?
Probably 22, 23.
Okay, early 20s.
Yeah. Now I'm much older and more experienced at 29.
Right. Sure.
Now I've seen the world.
Who do you recommend this book to? Who would benefit from reading Courage to Create?
I think that at the end of the day, I wrote this book for my younger self. I wish I'd had this in my hands when I moved to New York. So my dream audience is that 18 through 25-year-old who is just getting a footing and they're wondering, how can I integrate creativity into my life? Or do I have what it takes to be an artist? Can I find the courage to pursue this? So I think that age group, I would love anyone who was like me when I started to get their hands on this book.
Well, it is both a beautiful book and obviously it is going to be impactful for those who read it, including me. Can I keep this
You
copy?
can keep that one, yes, absolutely.
And what happens if all the good people watching Catholic TV right now, what if they want a copy of this book? How do they find it?
That is a great question. They can purchase it on Ave Maria Press's website or on Amazon, anywhere you buy books. And the best thing, my fellow This Is the Dayers, that you can do for me is to leave a review on Amazon so we can get the word out. That's what I need more than anything. I want you to read it. I hope you love it. And I want you to leave a review.
And is there any connection between your work on the book and your work on the Renaissance Room here on Catholic TV? Did the two?
I created them at the same time so that they could be sort of released in tandem and start building towards a larger movement of empowering young people in the arts and in Catholicism. So hopefully that's rocking and rolling. Now that the book's out, the show is out, people have a certain level of resources. Thanks so much to Ave and Catholic TV. So yeah, hopefully people have those resources that I wish I had.
Because as you say, a number of the artists featured in the book are featured in the series.
So you can definitely find someone who resonates with you in that group.
So watch the Renaissance Room with Clare McCallan right here on Catholic TV, and you'll be prepped to get your copy and read Courage to Create. Clare, congratulations to you.
Thank you so much
on this fine edition for reading for those who are seeking to discover their artistic gifts within.